Before cities, before language, before even fire, there was only vastness, a raw earth shaped by colliding plates, roaring oceans, and skies that broke into primeval storms. This was the earth in its untamed state, and there, in the nameless dark, something was awakening. 4.7 million years ago, night fell over a continent with no name, no maps, no borders. The sky, painted in a deep bluish green, was splattered with stars so close they seemed to touch the treetops. But it was the sound of nothing, that absolute silence, broken only by distant predator cries, that made this world unforgiving. The jungle pulsed with life, and death. Giant reptilian beasts still roamed the swamps, saber-toothed ancestors prowled at dusk. And there, hidden beneath broad leaves and crude stone shelters, lived the tribe of the first human. They had no names, only gestures, no words, only guttural sounds. But they possessed something no other creature on earth dared to claim, an awareness of tomorrow, a different kind of instinct. A fear that extended beyond the moment, a desire to continue. First human, lean, skin marked by scratches, eyes sharp like a raven's, was the youngest among them. His hair was coarse, face smeared with dry mud used to ward off insects. In his hand, a curved bone, sharpened, like an extension of his will. And on that night, something stirred. The wind carried a strange scent, smoke, not theirs. They didn't know fire yet, but the burning of something distant. Perhaps a tree struck by lightning. A glow lit up the horizon. The tribe froze. Animals scattered. First human looked to the sky. A storm was coming, but it wasn't rain they feared. It was the unknown, and the night was only beginning. Among beasts, the weak are devoured. Among humans, the rejected are forgotten. But what happens when the forgotten refuses to disappear? Dawn crept slowly across the dense canopy. The jungle hissed to life again. Insects sang their shrill chorus. Birds with iridescent feathers screamed above the mist. From a cold stone crevice, the tribe emerged cautious, barefoot, wrapped in crude hides from fallen prey. They had survived another night, but survival came with cost. Food was scarce. The previous hunt had yielded nothing but bone and feather. The elders gathered, muttering in broken sounds, drawing in dirt with sticks and fingers. The tribe needed strength, precision, and above all, unity. And in that unity, the first human was the flaw. He was smaller, quieter, slower in the rituals. While others mimicked animal cries for hunting signals, he stared at clouds. While others sharpened stone, he scratched spiral patterns into bark. Curious, unfocused, strange. This morning he was given no task, no meat, no place in the circle around the fireless pit. Instead he stood at the edges, watching as the others moved with a purpose he could not feel. The elder male, scarred and thick-chested, let out a harsh grunt, a command. The others turned. A younger hunter approached, a rival in age but twice his size. He shoved the first human hard, sending him into the dirt. Laughter erupted, and cruel. The message was clear. You are not one of us. The first human didn't cry. Crying was not a language yet known, but inside, something cracked. Not from pain, but from shame. Later, alone among twisted roots, he stared at the track of a lizard in the mud. The trail was precise, curved, repeating, like a pattern. He followed it with his finger. He felt something awaken inside him, not rage, but a thought. Why do they mock what they do not understand? Back at the camp, the tribe feasted on scavenged fruit and dried meat. The first human remained distant, chewing on bark. As night approached again, the tribe danced a silent ritual around nothing but shadow. But he wandered into the dark. Away from the tribe, away from their eyes, into the forest where no one returned, and the cold began to rise. When stripped of fire, of shelter, of kin, what remains of a human? The body grows weak, but the will, if it survives, becomes something unbreakable. Darkness swallowed the forest. Thick, humid air clung to his skin as the first human moved through the underbrush. Vines tugged at his arms, insects bit. The cries of unseen beasts echoed like warnings from another world. He was utterly alone, but not without purpose. The cold bit deep that night, not the cold of frost, but of absence. No heat, no voices, no presence, only the whisper of leaves and the occasional growl in the distance. Hunger crept in fast. He had carried no meat, no fruit, not even water. His limbs grew heavier with each step, yet still he moved forward, led by instinct or something more, something deeper than instinct, curiosity. By morning, the forest changed. It opened into a vast clearing. Here, bones littered the grass. Some gnawed clean, Others cracked open, a kill zone. The scent of blood lingered beneath the dew, and nearby, tracks large three-toed impressions in the mud. Sharp claws, too deep for any prey. A predator walked here recently. Sabrtooth. The first human knelt, touched the track. Still warm, he should have run, but he waited. Why? Because his hunger had grown louder than his fear. A plan began to form in that strange mind of his. Not a clear plan, but an image. A branch, bent like a hook. A rock, jagged. A vine, thick as a serpent. He began to build. Not a trap. Not yet. But a tool. A club bound with vine. A rock sharpened with another. His fingers bled, but he didn't stop. Every failure shaped a better idea. Every snapped branch taught something. And slowly, the first human adapted. That night, the beast returned. He saw it first yellow. Eyes in the dark, silent, watching, a shape too large for comfort. Muscles coiled beneath striped fur. The Sabrtooth. It stepped forward, and the first human didn't flee. Instead, he raised the crude weapon. It shook in his hand, but he stood. Breath shallow, legs trembling, but he stood. The beast growled, low, like thunder trapped inside bone. Then, it vanished into the dark. Not out of fear, but perhaps recognition. This prey had changed. The next morning, he found the remains of a half-eaten kill nearby. Bones stripped, but marrow untouched. He cracked one open, and for the first time in days, he fed. Raw, wild, but nourishing. He had survived his first night alone, and something inside him had awakened. Not just the will to live, but the power to change the world. The beasts ruled with claw and fang. Nature ruled with storm and fire. But only one creature would rise, not by strength, not by speed, but by the discovery of what no other dared to seek. The unknown days. Past time was no longer measured by the tribe's rhythms. The first human now moved to the sun's arc, to the belly's ache, to the sounds of night. He no longer feared the dark. It had become his home, but survival alone was not enough. He watched the world, observed the birds as they followed ants, noted how water gathered where moss grew thick. He mimicked the posture of lizards to catch warmth from stone. Nature, once an enemy, became a teacher. Still, something was missing. One night, as the wind turned dry and the stars flickered like flame, the first human climbed a ridge. From its peak, he saw the forest stretch like a sea, endless, green, ancient, but in the far distance. Smoke. Again. Not lightning this time. There had been no storm. This smoke moved, then it curled slowly into the sky, deliberate, like breath. He went toward it. Hours later, through a grove of giant trees and undergrowth that bit at his legs. He saw it. Fire. Real, living, angry and alive. But it wasn't from the sky. It came from the earth. A fallen tree, struck and splintered. A smoldering branch, glowing like the sun's tongue. Around it, silence. Even the animals stayed away. But the first human approached closer. Heat licked his skin. He flinched, but didn't retreat. He picked up a dry stick and touched it to the ember. The tip smoked, blackened, then a flicker, a tiny flame. It danced, then died. He tried again, and again. Eventually, the flame held. The first man to hold fire. It was no longer a god's punishment from the sky, no longer a mysterious destroyer. It was a tool. He did not understand what he had done, but he understood what it meant. Light in the darkness, warmth in the cold, a weapon against beasts, a beacon in the night. He stayed by the fire for 2 days, watching, feeding it, learning. He discovered that dry grass burned fast, that wet wood smoked, that bones crackled and hissed, that fire could protect, but it could also destroy. He learned. Control. When he returned to the forest, he brought it with him, a burning branch, wrapped in green leaf, glowing like a sun caged in his hand. The beasts no longer followed him, they feared him now. The first human had changed, not only himself, but the fate of all who would come after. Some rise by knowledge, others by fire. But the true test of humanity is not what we gain, it is what we must face when everything tries to take it away. He returned to the land of his exile, not as prey, not as outcast, but as firebearer. The tribe had not moved, still huddled beneath the rock shelf, still starving, weakened, cold. The rains had returned, sudden and punishing. Thunder cracked through the trees like the roar of ancient gods. They saw him emerge from the mist, taller, stronger, older in the eyes. In one hand, a sharpened stone. In the other, a glowing torch. Light. They gasped, shrinking back. Some reached for stones, others whispered fearfully. Fire was still taboo, forbidden. Only the sky could command it. But the first human stepped forward calmly, boldly, and planted the torch into the ground before them. It hissed in the rain but held. The tribe stared. Then chaos. One of the hunters lunged, shoving him again as they had done before. He hit the dirt, his torch flickered, but this time he stood up, no hesitation. He gripped his stone and roared, a sound not of pain or fear but of defiance, a primal thunder from the chest. He was no longer child, no longer alone. The hunter attacked, teeth bared, fists flying. The clash was brutal. Skin tore, bone cracked, blood mixed with rain. They fought in the mud, under lightning, while the tribe watched in breathless silence. But the first human was no longer weak. He moved with knowledge, with control. He did not fight to destroy, he fought to prove. And at the final blow he did not strike the kill. He stopped, held the stone high. And turned to the tribe. The message was clear. I do not want to rule you. I want to show you. He stepped away, picked up the torch, held it out again. Rain fell harder. He protected the flame with his own body, and somehow it survived. The elder stepped forward, trembled, reached toward the fire. His fingers hovered, then touched the warmth. His eyes widened. He did not speak. No one could yet. But he knelt, and one by one the others followed. They gathered around the flame, around him not because he was strongest, but because he had seen further, had returned. The first human, once rejected, now led the circle, not by force, but by fire. He did not build cities, he did not write words, but he lit the first fire, and in doing so, he lit the path that all of us would follow. Seasons passed. The forest changed color. Beasts migrated. Storms came and went, and the first human endured. But he was no longer alone in endurance. The fire spread not as flame, but as memory. That the tribe learned. They no longer waited for lightning. They no longer huddled in fear. They carried embers wrapped in bark and moss. They learned to guard it, feed it, whisper to it. It became sacred, and so did he. He did not ask for reverence. He did not understand the word leader, but they watched him, copied his movements, followed his eyes when he stared at stars, or cracked bones to reach the marrow, or painted ash across his chest. He began to teach, not with speech, but by example. He showed how to sharpen stone against river rock. How to track game not just by footprint, but by broken leaf. How to see patterns in the sky, in the wind, in the bird's flight. The forest no longer ruled them. They walked into it. They claimed space. They hunted together. Shared. The tribe grew stronger. They began to bury their dead, not leave them to rot. They began to draw in mud, circles, spirals, handprints. The first art, the first signs. Symbols that said, "We are here." And through it all he remained silent, thoughtful. The first human, the bridge between beast and man. He aged his hair grayed. His hands, once fierce, grew slow. And one day, as the sun rose over the misty hills, he sat by the fire alone, watching the flames dance, listening to the wind move through the trees. The same wind that once chilled him to the bone now. It whispered. They will survive. He closed his eyes, and his flame continued to burn.